Joining me now to discuss this and much more is Kentucky Senator Rand Paul. Senator, thank you so much for joining us.
Glad to be with you.
Sir, as a matter of national security, how much danger are we in with Joe Biden at the helm?
Well, I think we can't be certain that he is making the decisions, that he is the president. In fact, there are much talk that Joe Biden is running the country as we speak. This isn't the first time this has happened in our history. You know, when Woodrow Wilson was incapacitated with a stroke for about a year and a half, they said Mrs. Wilson was running the country. And I think we're close to that at this point. I think there are times when he's awake and alert, but there are many times when I think he's incapable. But I think what's very telling is when you interview his most ardent supporters, people who never give up, Nancy Pelosi, she didn't say that it was a done deal. She said he needs to decide within the next week. So you have the former Speaker of the House, an ardent Democrat who never gives in on the Democrat Party, saying, well, he needs to make a decision. So really it is in flux. And even the top Democrats are saying it is in flux and there's a possibility he doesn't run. But what's extraordinary about this is that, you know, if you watch Newsmax, you're not surprised. You've been seeing his decline. There's been evidence of his decline for a long time. But if you've been watching CNN, it's been hidden from public view. So the one genius of the Donald Trump campaign was accepting a debate on a network that is not typically watched by conservatives, that the left watches, and then all of a sudden people are like, oh my goodness, I can't believe he's so debilitated. Well, it's been there in front of you the whole time, but CNN, MSNBC have been covering for him. And so it was genius. I mean, to do the debate on a hostile network, but to have that split screen and see a severely debilitated, worrisomely debilitated president who is in all likelihood not capable of doing something after 8 o'clock, much less, you know, at midnight, is worrisome for the country.
It absolutely is. Do you think this could end up costing the Democrats power in the Senate? What do you think?
Well, you know, Michael Bennet from Colorado came out just today publicly and said he's worried that it's going to cost them Senate, the House, and the presidency, that all three, you know, we hold the House now, but that we could win both the Senate and the presidency. You know, the battleground states that had looked close are now looking pro-Trump in every poll. His overall numbers are dwindling into the mid to low 30s. So, yeah, every indication is they're going to get wiped out in a landslide. Some are saying we need to back off in our criticism because it'll encourage them more to switch their candidate. But I think they know how bad it is. When George Clooney, who's a reliable voice like Nancy Pelosi, only for Democrats, never for anyone else, only for Democrats, he's a reliable voice. When he starts saying that he doesn't believe he's the same man and that he is the person you saw in the debate, that wasn't a one-off, that he is that person that looked very impaired at the debates. I think when George Clooney's throwing in the towel, it's going to be hard for Biden to stay on. But I think, you know, they see this as he'll go down in history as one of the, maybe the first nominee ever to quit, you know, after they've already been nominated. I don't know that we've ever had one quit.
I don't think we ever had one either. What do you make of Hakeem Jeffries kind of staying quiet? Chuck Schumer has expressed support, but he hasn't exactly made the media rounds either.
You get into leadership in either party by being a yes person, not someone who ever questions the party line. They are the party line, so they'll be the last people to publicly say anything. Now, the real scoop would be as if someone discovers that they're privately telling him to quit, and there have been stories of that many of the different senators are privately telling him to quit, privately having conversations, and some will try to spare the Bidens, you know, the humiliation of this by letting him make the decision, but privately telling him to go. But George Clooney publicly saying it, Nancy Pelosi saying a decision will be made or has to be made soon, implying that it's up in the air and that there really is a question whether Biden will continue. Not that, you know, not Kamala Harris who's saying absolutely he's going to do it. You know, that's the party line. But no, I think there is a real question. I think it's better than 50-50. He won't be the nominee. And I was a doubter. If people told me that 6 months ago, you know, people were saying it's going to be Michelle Obama. It's going to be Michelle Obama. I would have said, no way. I still think it's unlikely to be Michelle Obama. I think the most likely would be Kamala Harris. And if they don't pick her, I think they threaten to alienate. I think the African-American vote is up for grabs anyway. I think many of them who are successful and in business and are doing great are thinking, wow, I want a country that promotes greatness for everyone. There's a big burgeoning population of that African-American vote that's available to Republicans. And I think if they, you know, if they pass on Kamala Harris, I think that even more of that will be open.
They did this to themselves, right? I mean, they should have held a primary. Now, sir, I have to get to this these allegations, these bombshell whistleblower allegations. The Biden administration is accused of losing 85,000 children who cross into this country illegally. The whistleblower is revealing that the administration placed these children with so-called sponsors, but now we don't know. These children could be trafficked, and we also know that the members of these gangs, like MS-13, most of these members, they come in as unaccompanied minors. So, what do you make of these bombshell accusations here, sir?
One more example of lawlessness, and you just can't have a lawless open border. So it's the problem with the minors, but it's also the problem with they're having people who come in they deem to be unwanted, and they even put ankle bracelets on them, but then they say, oh, the camp's full, you can go on your way, and people committing rape and murder with the ankle bracelet on, people they know came from prisons, and they're not allowed to release them. The law actually says you can't release them because the camp's full. That is not a actual reason to be released from one of these camps. It isn't an excuse. It isn't an acceptable excuse. But this is what's going on. We have, 8 members coming in from Tajikistan. We got people coming from Egypt. We got people coming in from China, all over the place. There is a real danger to this. But as they see the crime inflicted on Americans, as they see Lake and Riley's family suffering, as they see that poor family, I think from Texas, who lost their 12-year-old daughter, or whose daughter was raped. The sheer inhumanity of it. There's nothing humane about having millions of people coming across your border who are then committing mayhem and violence. And look, I'm not against immigration. I'm actually a proponent of more lawful immigration based on jobs and based on skills. But what's going on down there is a disaster, and it's going to catch up to them. I think it's going to have electoral consequences.
Yeah, bring in the best and brightest. I'm an immigrant myself and couldn't speak English until I was 5. And here I am speaking to the American people.